Hey guys, Desolator Magic back, and it's time to finally ask the question that's been on everybody's mind since 2008. Was Mythic Rarity a mistake, or was it a great idea? Now, if you're not familiar with Mythic Rarity, it was not always part of the game. It started in the Alara block way back in 2008, and some people were excited about it and some people weren't. I think the exact same thing is true today. A lot of people are on both sides of this issue. Now, it always surprises me when I bring up Mythic Rarity and start, naming off traits of it and what I do and don't like about it and what I think they should change. People either outright say I'm wrong, or they are surprised by what I say because they had no idea. Well, let me just state, for the record, this is the absolute truth, and I have had people contradict this in the comments section, but, well, there's a lot of misinformation down there. Mythic rares are printed at exactly 50% the rarity is rares. So for every Mythic, there are 2 in existence in the print run of every 1 given rare. Now don't mix that up with the fact that you have about a 1 in 8 shot of pulling a Mythic rare card at all in most sets. It actually does vary a little bit because, well, so do the total number of Mythics in a given set. But one thing always holds true, and that's that there are double the amount of rares in existence as Mythics when you go per card. Some people I tell this to, I guess, just don't understand how math works or something. I don't know. I guess they just can't wrap their head around the 1 in 8 versus 2 to 1 ratio, depending upon how you look at it. But it's really simple, like division and multiplication. But anyway, this is what it is. I mean, we've opened 50,000 cards and gotten exactly 50% the number of Mythics as rares. By individual card, I should say. But don't take my word for it. Wizards has confirmed this multiple times. It's on every wiki page about Magic, and it just is established fact. So the side effect, obviously, of having a card that's twice as rare as a rare is that there's less of the card to go around. So if it's a good card that people want, the price is automatically going to be higher because the demand is going to be higher, but the supply is not. So let's just bust right into the pros and cons of this. The perceived pros, and I say perceived because they seem like pros on the surface, but once you hear the cons, they absolutely logically override this. The first pro would definitely be that when you open a pack, you might get a card worth more than you normally would if it was a rare. That does really hold true logically because if there's half to go around but everybody wants it, it's just going to go higher in price. I mean, yeah, there have been $20 rares and $30 rares, but Mythics are much more likely to go up in price when there's half the amount to go around. So you opening a pack, if there's nothing but rares, and the highest rare is like $12 and that's it, you're paying like $3 something for the pack, and you could only potentially pull $12. Now another perceived pro is that while Wizards doesn't care how much the cards are worth to a certain point because they don't sell singles, they do care how much their vendors order of the sealed product to get those cards and then sell them as singles. Or sealed, I guess, but either way, singles are getting in the hands of people whether they open them directly or buy them. So if they had an average set with just rares, and then they added Mythics, so they theoretically added more money to the system, then a box is worth more. We're going to buy more as vendors because we can make more money on it because we might pull a $30 or $40 card that's pretty hard to get. And then the third real pro I would say is like the excitement factor. If you pull a rare, it's like, oh good, I pulled a rare. Yeah, you're guaranteed 1 rare. You're not guaranteed a Mythic. So there's a little bit of a gamble there. And the last thing that Wizards wants is for opening boosters to be boring. That would be bad. So whether you're a new player or a long-time player, most people do tend to get pretty darn excited when they pull a real good Mythic. Now let's say somebody goes all the way to buy an entire box. They're one of those people where they put a box on pre-order. As soon as it comes out, they buy the whole box and they open the whole thing so that they can, get their deck going and trade with their friends. You have a lot more chance of pulling the same rare 2 or 3 times than you do of pulling a Mythic. So you might in your entire box just get 1 single Avacyn, and then you're just thrilled to death about that. Instead of, I pulled 3 of them, I pulled 4 of them, especially if you buy like an entire case. Then you're going to see some serious repeats. But we have gotten a single Avacyn out of an entire case before. We've also gotten like 5, and then you feel even better about that because they're really rare. So it's exciting, it's more fun, and that really, you can't really contradict that. It just is. But now when you look at the con side, things start getting a little bit darker. First, let me start by saying the second point I just made was completely untrue. It is a perceived pro, but it is completely false mathematically. So there's a rare worth $12, and then there's a Mythic worth $24. So if I start pulling $24 cards, they're better than Mythics. Oh, that's right, there's half of them to go around. So it's kind of like pulling 2 $12 rares except I'm pulling one $24 mythic half the amount of times that I normally would. It does even out. So unfortunately, if you look at the math, they aren't adding any value to the box at all. Putting mythics in there added nothing to the overall box value. Now, the only slight calculation difference is if you say, hey, well, there's less to go around in the entire world, but the demand is still the same, so the price is going to be artificially higher than if we sold them as rares. So this is virtually impossible to prove unless you knew about every single card that's ever been printed, ever, what people are willing to pay for it over time, and just, statistics that we can't gather. But theoretically, if you had a $24 mythic, there's so few to go around, but everybody wants it, that if it was printed as a rare and there's double to go around, then it wouldn't be $12, it would be closer to $8 because, supply and demand curves. It's just like Expedition Lands. They made them even rarer, and the price hit like $200 or $300 for some of them because everybody wanted them, to an extent. Nobody needed them, but a lot of people wanted them. I mean, just think about it. If they had Expedition Lands that they printed at the same number, the same ratio as a normal rare, they'd be worth like $3 to $5. There'd be so many to go around versus the demand that if you print them at, oh gosh, I don't remember the math. We'll just say 20 times less, whatever it was. You get more than 20 times the price. So that argument can be made, but it's not provable, and there is sort of the offsetting idea that people want a number of mythics. They do not want to sell out. Like vendors like me, we don't want to sell out. So we're going to open more boxes to get to the number of mythics that we think we're going to sell, which actually drives down the cost of rares because we just really want 100 of a given mythic to sell. So if it's driving down the cost of the other cards by printing them artificially high, then you've got a problem. So let's just say that evens out with the supply-demand curve, and it's still like a 12 and 24 thing, and they're just breaking even. Now, an example from real life is just ask any vendor if after 2008 they suddenly made more per box. They didn't. It was just the popularity of the set, the number of players, and, the normal factors. I can't think of any vendors that say, oh, thank God for Mythics. Once Mythics came out, I started making 20% more on every set afterwards. It just didn't work like that. Now, obviously, flooding the market with way too many rares and devaluing them because people really want X amount of Mythics is the second major downside to printing Mythics, because people are always going to want the rarest one, and they're always going to want a certain amount. So if they artificially open more than they normally would, Wizards wins, and the vendors lose. Because now, something that probably would have been a $5 rare is now a $2 rare because people open so many packs trying to get Mythics. Now, the third major con to Mythics is that there's so few to go around, the price goes so nuts, and they're so powerful of cards, typically. I mean, yeah, not every Mythic is a gem, but typically the best cards are Mythic. The prices get so nuts that nobody can afford to play Magic, and like I said, Wizards only cares about sealed product. They don't care about prices of individual cards to a certain extent, because it doesn't directly make them money. About 3 or 4 weeks after release, when people are mostly done buying booster packs and the distributors are done sending them out, if a card like Nahiri spikes from $10 to $40, that doesn't affect them at all. I mean, they're not selling Nahiris, so who cares? Overall, the return from a box went down, so nobody's opening them. So if the vendors are breaking even because they're double the value but half the amount, so they're breaking even, all it does is harm the players while putting money in Wizards' pocket. And I think that's why they don't have a problem with Mythic Rarity. That's probably why they invented it. They are very good at math at Wizards when it comes to making money-related math. Card balancing and research and development, maybe not. But the people who make sure that Wizards and Hasbro make money are a little bit better at math and a little bit better at their job. They make sure that they don't make mistakes. So Wizards has always told their staff to say the same thing. It's almost like they're hypnotized to all say it, but they really just probably told them in a staff meeting. Tell people that Mythic Rarity just means the card is more important. It's more significant to the storyline. It's typically a Planeswalker. Pretty much every Planeswalker is printed at Mythic. So it just signifies that the card is more powerful and just represents the fact that it's more likely to be legendary, it's more likely to be played, and it's more likely to be worth more money. They just wanted to have a tier that stood apart from rare. And of course what they really meant was, we want to make money, buy more packs. Luckily I speak executive speak and I can translate that for you. They're basically playing this balancing act where they want the players to be happy about any decision they make, because if people just get super pissed off and just leave the game in masses like people are doing to Yu-Gi-Oh right now, they know that that would lose them so much money. So they can't do that. They have to make sure the players are at least moderately happy enough to start playing or to keep playing the game, but to also keep paying them lots and lots of money and selling more and more products. So they're finding creative ways to get more money out of your pocket without pissing you off to the point where you find an alternative game or quit altogether. So it makes sense, and that's what they do. So they've been lying about Mythics and the strategy behind it. It's all about money. It always was. I think everybody really knows that. And the effect right now is that nobody's really like demanding that they stop printing Mythics, except for really, really in-depth analysts. Like a lot of, high-end pros are against Mythics. They tend not to speak out about it too much because, one, they don't care about spending $1,000 on a deck, really. And two, they don't want to make Wizards mad at them because there might be consequences for that. Now, if you haven't noticed after watching my channel for a while, I don't give a crap what Wizards thinks about me or what I say. I don't think they'll be sending me any secret private spoilers for Eldritch Moon anytime soon, but I also like reporting on the truth. That's more important to me. So overall, if you look at the downsides to Mythics, how it affects the market, how it doesn't benefit vendors in any way, and how at the end of the day, it just costs players money and makes the game less accessible and more expensive, no matter what you see as an upside, it just can't override that fact. Unless you're just so rich that hundreds and thousands of dollars don't mean anything to you, so you don't even have a concept of why people might be mad, you pretty much have to agree that Mythics are a really bad idea, they're harmful to the game, and I honestly do think they should be removed. Now, I do oftentimes say, hey, I think this is wrong with the game, but fixing it would be so detrimental and such a bad idea that they shouldn't do it. Apparently not many people caught that in my video where I said Lightning Bolt should be banned, logically should be banned, but I don't think they should actually do it because it would just ruin almost every deck out there. It's too ingrained in the modern scene to just pull out the rug from everybody and say, redo your whole deck and we just killed off 5 top tier decks. So it certainly is mathematically incorrect to let somebody do 3 damage to a creature or a player as an instant with no downside, but they can't fix it. Now this they can fix. If they just announce that in Kaladesh they're doing away with Mythics, I mean, who cares? What would be the side effect? You'd have people who really like Mythics and really like their collection of ultra rare foil Mythics. I do. You might have them mad, but everybody else would be like, good. Now I don't have to shell out $30 for a card. A card probably won't go above Thing in the Ice level prices. Which honestly was not that friendly of a price, but since it was rare and people kept opening packs, the price did go down over time, and that doesn't always happen with Mythics. Sometimes the whole time they're in Standard, they're pretty much a flat price and never go below a certain floor. So what do you guys think? Is there some massive point I'm missing? For example, I forgot to include the fact that people really like foil Mythics in their collection, and why even have a collection if the rarest thing you can get is a foil rare, because everybody has foil rares. I have 4 foil Eileys in my deck. It's not that hard to pull 4 of them. Well, when you open, 300 pounds of cards. But still, trading, eBay, online sales is not that hard to get foil rares. But I've always put people who actually play the game above people who just collect them to collect them. Because if nobody played it, nobody would collect them. So there's a little bonus pro and con at the end of the video there, but what do you guys think? Should they, do you disapprove of Mythics? Do you disapprove of them to the point where they should be removed from the game in your opinion as well? Or do you like them or have a really good logical reason for why they should stay in the game? Let me know down below, and I'll see you guys next video.